D'un côté, si des femmes en Dieu. No level, no level.
It's Kelpie Vibes.
D'un côté,
So today we have with us Carl Kanadu. Hi Carl, how are you doing?
I'm brilliant, man. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. You're such an energetic personality. I'm really looking forward to, learning more about your story and, hearing from you.
Yeah, I know it's been a long time coming. We've been going back and forth about trying to get a date. We finally got it in there. So yeah, I'm so excited to kind of get chatted and see what we can get.
Yeah, definitely.
Hello everyone, my name is Carl Kanadu, and if you don't know me, before I introduce what I do, I just want to tell you a little story. Go on this journey with me. So I want you to imagine you're 16 years old, and you walk into your sixth form to pick up your A-level grades, and you open up your grades to see that your results are so bad that they can spell the word fudge. Let that sink in. That's how bad they were. I'm talking F's, U's, D's, and that was me. And you know what was so funny? Although I had to go home and tell my mum, look, this is what I've produced, that wasn't really the moment for me that woke me up. It was later on, I got a phone call from a friend, and my friend said, oh, how did you do? And I said, you know what, I didn't really do well, but I got into university through clearing, so, roll with punches. And then I said, how did you do? And he said, oh, you know what, I got A's and B's, and I'm going to the university that I want to go. And reluctantly, I said, oh, well done, that's great to hear. And then there was that awkward silence on the phone, until eventually he piped up and he said, oh boy, today really shows who's put in that work. I can't lie, it hit my chest. And I remember responding in a real cowardly fashion, saying something like, oh no man, exams are just luck, or I just didn't get what I wanted on this occasion. But I knew full well that I hadn't put in the work. I knew full well that those grades were what I deserved. And so that was the first time in my life that I realized, in life, you only ever get out what you are willing to put in, not a penny more. I say life is a bit like a vending machine, and some people walk up to the vending machine and they kick it and they push it and they say, give me a Mars bar, give me a Twix, and nothing comes out. You have to be willing to pay, and that payment is going to be with your time, your effort, your diligence, your desire. In life, you're not ever going to be given stuff. You've got to get out there and take it. And after that, I developed the hunger and the tenacity to not only go on and achieve a first-class degree, but to then go and start 2 to 3 degrees, a personal development training company that delivers inspiring and personal development themed training to young people all around the UK. And since launching in March 2016, we've worked with over 4,000 young people. And that's why we exist today. Not just for Carl to be an amazing motivational speaker and be on stages all around the world, although I will be, but for 2 to 3 degrees to really go into those places that need it the most and inspire their young people. So, my friends, if you're listening to...
Yeah, definitely. Okay, cool. So, first of all, I just want you to tell me about yourself. Who is Carl?
Cool, who is Carl? So being a child of God is obviously number one. I think one of the main things I've realised is that my purpose is to kind of have an impact on people like myself, on people who are looking to more and to do more in the world. And so as a motivational speaker, as a co-founder of 2 to 3 degrees, my main thing is just to kind of inspire other people. And that might be through talks, that might be through content, and that might be through workshops and training.
Okay, so you mentioned that you're a motivational speaker and you are also co-founder of 2 to 3 degrees.
Yeah, of course. So a lot of the time when I go to events and I might say I'm a motivational speaker, a lot of people say, how do you get into that? It's not the type of thing where you can go and study a degree and go straight into. And it always makes me reflect back on something that Steve Jobs said, where he talks about how a lot of the times in your life you can only ever connect the dots when you look backwards. So now that I look back at the way I grew up and how I grew up, playing semi-professional football and always wanting to be the leader, getting into volunteering at quite a young age, either with the Safer London Foundation or the British Youth Council, and always wanting to kind of train and develop and pour into others. It makes sense now that I'm doing that, but sometimes when you're in it and when you're starting it out, it doesn't really match up. I studied a degree in international relations and politics, and now I'm kind of running a business and doing motivational speaking. There isn't always a link. But yeah, I think the motivational speaking arm of things is something that just came about from this kind of yearning and this passion to always pour into other people, to always, you know, have compassion for other people and care and listen, and to always inspire other people as well.
Definitely.
I just like to look at life as this thing where people are always approaching new doors that they've got to go through, and a lot of the time the keys and the principles that you need to go through those doors you can learn from other people. So I just want to be the type of person providing those keys and principles for people to walk through those doors.
Makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where the motivational speaking comes in. And I guess that goes hand in hand with 2 to 3 degrees, which is essentially a social enterprise that exists to inspire and equip young people with the personal development skills that they need outside of school. You know, Shakespeare and Pythagoras' theorem was all cool in school, but when you leave, you don't necessarily need that anymore. You need to learn how to be a bit more confident. You need to learn how to do public speaking. You need to learn how to deal with failure and develop
give presentations.
Exactly,
Like that,
exactly. So that's what we exist to do. And so that's me, man.
So how did you get started with all of this? Like, you know,
where did it come from?
I
never forget, this is kind of unrelated, but I'll never forget the first ever talk that I did in a primary school. I finished and I was so excited and I was like, oh, that was amazing. And I went down and one of the teachers said to me, oh wow, that was so American. And I was like, what? It's so random because I guess in this country there isn't necessarily a big field of motivation and motivational speaking. We're very different to the way they do things in the US. But for me, I guess the 2 to 3 degrees concept, which I founded with my business partner Aziz Minna, we went to university together. And before going to uni, you may have heard this story before, but I failed my A-levels miserably. I did really, really bad. I wasn't focused. It's not that I didn't care, but my focus was more on football and girls and and my social life than it was on actually doing well in my education. And my results kind of showed me that. And so when I went to university, I didn't want to disappoint myself and my family and everything that I was doing like that again. And so I really decided to work hard. And I met Aziz, and she was coming from a similar place where she wanted to work really hard. She wanted to do the best that she could. And so we kind of peer mentored each other through that process. And as a result of that, throughout uni, we both studied IR and politics. And I guess through that, we then learned that there are some keys and principles that you should be developing as a young person that are going to set you up for life. So breaking down what is networking and how do I do it? You know, learning what does hard work actually mean and what's the best way to do it? Learning about yourself and how to become a high performer in any field. And these are the type of things we started watching motivational videos, reading motivational books, personal development, self-help books, all of that type of stuff. And then it just really built a hunger inside of us to learn. And so one day, off the back of like a really exciting conversation, we just said, you know what, let's just do this. And that was about 3 years ago now.
So the name, 2 to 3 degrees.
Yeah. Now that you know what we do, what do you think it means? Putting you on the spot here.
I know. Well, for me, I was kind of thinking maybe like moving from 2 to 3. That's just like what I thought.
Cool. I like asking people that because every time I ask, someone comes up with a different answer. But you're on the money though. So if you imagine a protractor, the angle 2 to 3 degrees is actually a really, really small angle. So we believe that all of the changes that you need to make to fulfill your potential are just incremental changes over time. It's not becoming an overnight success. It's just to pick up and read 10 pages of a book every day, to start going to the gym and walk half an hour every day, slowly but surely. And that achieves massive success over time. But a lot of the stuff that we're teaching and we're developing is actually about habits and not necessarily about big, huge changes. And so it kind of fits in with that.
Okay, so I kind of wanted to get into some of the other things that I've seen you do recently. So the Run This Town show, and then the 56 Black Men. I thought that was like really interesting. So
You inspired on me.
Well, I mean you're out there, so might as well. And you're inspiring, so
Thank you,
why not?
I appreciate it, man.
Cool. So the 56 Black Men,
you
know, posing in hoodies and stuff like that. What is that?
What is it? So essentially what it is a guy called Cephas Williams was really upset with the way young black men were being portrayed in the media, and he wanted to do something to challenge that stereotype. So a lot of the times when we see young black men in the media, especially wearing hoodies, they've committed a crime or they're doing something wrong, but I guess his argument is not every young black man that wears a hoodie is doing negative things. And so he reached out to a whole bunch of young black men that were doing positive things in society and said, I want to create a campaign to help challenge that stereotype. And so I think at its core, that's the foundation of it. I know Cephas has got dreams to make it something much bigger, to own a space one day where young black men can come and be mentored and run programs. And obviously he did this massive campaign where he's got people out there and our faces are all over the place. Someone called me the other day and was like, I was driving down the M1 and I saw your face, I almost crashed. It's like, but it's a fantastic movement to be a part of. And I think the key thing for me is, for other young black men and other people in the world, when they see that, just challenge the question in your mind, what's the first thing that comes to mind when you see a black man in a hoodie? You know, and just challenge your own personal stereotype, and that can get the conversation going, which can then result in change. I don't personally think the campaign is going to change things overnight, but it can be the catalyst to get people thinking. Do you know what I mean?
I think it's good so far, because when I saw, and like obviously the different like black men that are being portrayed, obviously they are people that are inspirational. So for me, it kind of like changed that kind of image. I wasn't even thinking about the fact that they're wearing hoodies. Do you get what I'm trying to say? So I think it's working. I think it's
cool.
Good.
Brilliant. That's a good thing. You're a testament to what we're doing. Your case study.
Okay, cool. And so the Run This Town.
So have you heard of My Runway?
Yes, I have.
Cool. So My Runway is a creative group started by my friend Kojo. I know his Twitter handle is Kojo Steve Austin, so I like to call him that. But so Kojo has been doing loads of things. My Runway does an annual event where they bring together people in the fashion industry, people in the creative and the arts industry, and they do a huge event. And last time we did it was at the O2. And I was actually one of the speakers there. It was absolutely amazing. And so he had this vision to start this series called Run This Town, where we basically bring people in the kind of music, entertainment and TV industry, I guess, together to actually pick their brains on how they got to where they've got to. So people from Dumi, Tiny Tempest manager, to Glyn Akins, who's a huge kind of mogul, through to Oswald Boateng, who's obviously one of our people. And I think it's an amazing show, and being a part of it has really helped me realise the importance of actually, when people are reaching success and getting to certain levels of success, giving them a platform where you can extract the information and the stories behind what they've done, because so many people take inspiration from it. And I remember we were talking just before we came on here about how the reason why I love doing stuff like this is because so many times I've received inspiration from sitting behind my computer or my phone and listening to someone else share their story.
What is your passion? What's that thing that keeps you going?
That's a big question. So it's a big question, but it's also a really simple answer. This thing, I was thinking about it lately, about how personal growth, personal development, and seeing people step out of their comfort zone is something that drives me so much. That it's basically the main reason why I'm doing this. I feel like people always get to certain stages in their life where, going back to what I said earlier, there are doors that you need to open. So the door that I needed to open when I was 16 was learning how to deal with failure, learning how to open up my A-level results, realize that I failed, go home, look my mum dead in the eye, see the tears in her eyes, the disappointment, and have to wake up and step up from that. And then the next door was university degree. Despite all of the distractions that are going on around me, having to realize that, you know what, this is about more than just me. I need to do well because this is about my future. And then it gets to a stage where you might be working in a full-time job, and the job that you're doing, this is my personal experience, it's not going to be the same for everyone, but the job that you're doing, the world might look at you and think, you know what, oh wow, you're doing so amazing, you're so successful, this is great, you're on your right path. But you, deep down inside, you're not you're not made for that, or God has got a different purpose for you. The door that you then need to open is actually whether you live to go and fulfill that purpose, or you're just going to continue doing what you think you're supposed to do. And at those various points, I think there's a certain level of faith, there's a certain level of motivation, a certain level of skill that you need to build to be able to go through that. You don't necessarily need to wait before you're perfect before you make that decision, but once you make that jump, there are some keys and principles that you need. And so my thing is always being able to provide that level of motivation, inspiration, knowledge and insight that's going to help people push through those things. I was training entrepreneurs at London South Bank University yesterday, and when I went there, it's the second time I've done it. When I went there, the person who booked me said to me, someone just sent me a picture from the first session. They just won some money from Barclays after your first pitching session. And so for me, I just thought to myself, how much of a privilege it is to be able to train and inspire people to the extent where they can go and fulfill their dreams.
Yeah.
You know, it has that kind of snowball effect.
Yeah.
So that's my thing, that's my passion. My passion is personal development, my passion is growth, my passion is getting people to live out the best version of themselves.
Human capacity.
Yes, exactly. So, and obviously with what you're doing with Young Achievers Group, that's part of your passion as well.
Yeah, definitely.
You get what I'm saying? So,
we'll get onto that later, but yeah, kind of jumping the gun. Yeah,
but
definitely.
yeah, man, that's definitely it for me. So.
Yeah, so that resonates with basically us as well, like
exactly.
what we stand for.
Exactly.
At what point in your life
Mm-hmm.
did you realize that, okay, cool, this is my passion, this is my calling, like this is something that I need to pursue?
Yeah, I think that's such an important question, and it's an interesting one. So I don't necessarily think there was one point.
Okay.
I think there have been various points that it's like, if you imagine, sometimes I feel like God is poking you. You know when someone pokes you there and it gets a bit annoying, it's like this makes people are really ticklish over here. And every so often you go through certain things in life where God is poking you. And he's just trying to poke you to wake you up and say, look over there. Like there might be something over there for you. Look over there. And at first, the poke is just little. So it might be, you know, when I was playing semi-professional football, even when I wasn't playing, I would still be the person on the sidelines, like motivating my team, inspiring my team. I'll still be the person encouraging everyone. Even if we've lost 6-0, I'll be the person in the minivan telling everyone, listen, we can do better. Next time we're going to go hard, etc.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was just a poke. God was saying, look, there's something here, but you don't necessarily know it. And then you go through various points in your life. And so I was doing volunteering with Team London. And they basically used to send speakers to schools around the country to go and inspire the young people. And when I first got my opportunity to do it, I was excited, but I didn't really know what I was going into. But I just knew that I was excited about potentially inspiring other people. And so when I did it, the excitement and the joy and the energy was so much that I had to take that into something else. And so I started a blog. And I started a blog that I was writing motivational blogs every so often. And again, that was God just poking me and saying, look, there's something. I was at the time, I think I was working for the Commonwealth, and I was doing projects in like Trinidad and Tobago, Sri Lanka, Uganda. So it was nice, but it wasn't my purpose, it wasn't my calling. And so I think what I'm trying to say is listen to those times in your life where you are being questioned, or where you are questioning what you're doing. Sometimes we can just get set in being okay and being comfortable. Staying at the Commonwealth would have been comfortable. Staying in that position, using my degree would have been comfortable. But sometimes we have to force ourselves to be a bit uncomfortable to go and find that thing that God is poking us for. Do you know what I mean? So always being curious, always being creative, and I'm still unveiling what that is, because like, even not to kind of digress, but even since coming back to the faith, one of the main things that has happened is I'm starting to realize that there might even be a ministry that's involved in doing that. And so God always wants to kind of use the skills that he's given you in loads of different areas. And so that's you uncovering a whole different piece of the puzzle. I remember people used to laugh and people used to always say stuff like, oh, Carl, you're going to be a pastor, you're going to be a pastor. You're like, no, are you mad?
But you might be now.
Do you get? I don't necessarily think I'm going to be a pastor. Let's not jump the gun, but there's definitely some sort of ministry there of wanting to kind of share the word and share the gospel.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think at different points in your life, you just got to listen to that poke.
I was really, really intrigued, and I want to know, because obviously for you, you don't have like a conventional like 9-to-5 kind of job. What is, or how would you describe a day in the life of Carl kind of thing?
Cool, that's a good question. So like, for example, let's take today. So obviously I'm here doing this wonderful work, which I really, really enjoy. And I've just come from a meeting with Channel 4, where we're talking about the program that we're delivering called Mastering My Future, and getting young people to come and visit Channel 4 and just open their eyes to the different opportunities that are available there. But I started the day in the office with my team, talking about just various pieces of work that we're going, filling out a funding application, sending emails, etc. And after this, I've got another meeting. And yesterday, I was at London South Bank University delivering training. So it really does vary. Depending on obviously the business that you run and what your kind of calling is, your day can vary really much. And so there's going to be days where I'm in the office all day and we're doing admin and operations, or there's going to be days where I'm out all day delivering training. On the weekend, for example, we were in Nottingham, we're working with the Young Women's Trust around inspiring young women around learning how to deal with failure and learning how to network. And so I think that's one of the beautiful parts about being an entrepreneur, but that's also one of the most difficult parts, because your day can be so varied. oftentimes you can find you're having loads of conversations and not getting any work done.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can be getting loads of work done but not having enough conversations. So you've really got to find that balance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I guess one thing to mention is you've got to have parts of your day that keep you grounded. So my morning time is really key for me. My morning time is the time where I spend time with God. It's the time where I maybe write in my journal or my diary.
Yeah.
It's the time where I maybe go do some exercise, although I didn't go to the gym this morning.
You
But
go to the gym?
I try to. And so I think there are some foundations that you have to have in your routine that help you get better. I think it was Eric Thomas that I heard say it, where he talked about no one is actually that special. Like no one is actually that great. Okay. Your routine is what makes you a high performer. Because if you think about it, as human beings, people are going to have differing levels of willpower and different levels of kind of stamina, but the reality of it is we all only have 24 hours. Yeah. The part that successful people really get right is how they use that 24 hours. So I always say to people, the reason why I aim to wake up at 5 a.m. is because I like the feeling of getting to work. So you wake up at 5 a.m.? Yeah. Sorry, I should have started from there, right? But yeah, so I like the feeling of going to work at 9, walking past people with their coffee and their kind of half sleep faces, and I know 4 things are already ticked off my list. Okay. You maybe prayed, I've meditated, I've read, I've done some exercise, I maybe sent a couple emails or even written something up. And that kind of capacity and that thinking means that by the end of the day, you've got so much done. And it's literally just about how you use your 24 hours. So for me, on a good day, obviously I'm big on habits and routine, but I'm human, so I get it wrong sometimes. Mm-hmm. On a good day, 5 a.m, an hour of prayer, filling out the journal, do some reading, hit the gym, go into the office.
By 9. Yeah,
by 9. Smash out any work that needs to get done. And then there's time in the evening to either just chill out, relax. I usually probably have events to go to. So on a Monday I have Bible study. On Tuesday I'm doing a Bible course at church. And then it varies. Okay.
And then you kind of end your day at?
I try and end at 10. Try and end at 10. I try and get 7 hours of sleep.
Okay, cool. And you work Monday to Saturday?
I work whenever, to be fair. I work whenever, but I do take breaks, and I'm getting better at taking breaks.
Okay, cool.
My business partner is holding me to it as well.
That's important.
Yeah, no, it is. It's hugely. So I usually just work Monday to Friday. Yeah. Saturdays is supposed to be my chill day, but if there's nothing going on, or if work does come up, then I'm happy to work a Saturday and a Sunday. Sundays is church and relaxation time, or maybe I'm editing videos. But usually social times will come Saturday and Sunday. Okay. I do take breaks, definitely.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So, do you have a mentor?
Yes.
You do?
Yes.
So what's your take on mentorship?
Cool. Do you have a mentor?
I do have a mentor.
Cool. Mentorship, what's my take on mentorship?
Yeah.
It's probably, if you were to have maybe 5 pillars of success, that's definitely got to be one of them. Yeah. Role models, mentors, and learning from people who have done it. The fact that you asked is interesting. Quick example, yesterday, I'm panicking. I'm like, I've got to hand in this application, and I've got to hand in this funding application, and this partner has called us and said that something is wrong with it, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do. I was like, you know what, let me just call my mentor. Yeah. Called her and I said, look, this is what's going wrong, this is what I need to fix. And she said, boom, 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 okay, bye, done. You know what I mean? That's just a short example of the importance of having people in your network that have been there and done it. The only reason why she could tell me that information because she's probably done 50 of those applications in her time, And so, I think mentorship is so key, and I think mentorship should happen in a few different areas. So I've got a mentor at my church, my spiritual mentor. I've got a business mentor, and I've got what I like to call a life mentor, which I didn't choose, it just happened. My uncle is someone who is like a father figure for me, and I'm blessed to have him in my life, and he's like the person that I go to for most things, to be honest. But I think having mentors in different areas is really important and can really push you.
Okay, cool. So are you a mentor to anyone?
Yes, to too many people. I'm joking. So I've got a group of 4 young people that I mentor, and we do a monthly call every last Sunday of the month, and then they come to all of my events, and obviously I'm available if they have any questions. One of them is actually going to be coming and doing work experience with me at the end of July.
Okay, cool.
So I mentor those people, and then I've got relationships with people ad hoc that I've either picked up through my networks or picked up through the videos who have just contacted me and who I kind of mentor on an ad hoc basis. But what's something really interesting about that is my pastor always talks about how you should have 3 levels of mentorship. So you should have those who are mentoring you, those who are more senior, those who can kind of talk about what they've done, etc. The traditional mentor as we know it. You should have peer mentors, people who similar in age but maybe similar in the field who you can learn from. So there are other like entrepreneurs. So I was actually here the other day because I was with someone called BJ who is the one that actually introduced us to Tog. And he is someone who I look at as a peer mentor. So he's someone who I call up and just say, look, this is what I'm going through. What's your advice? Like, what's your support? And having a few of those people is really important. My business partner is another person who I see as a peer mentor. People you can get advice from. And then you should have people who you are mentoring. And you can learn from all three of those people. You can obviously learn from your mentors. You can obviously learn from those who are peer mentoring you. But you can also learn from those who are mentoring. Because they're curious and they're creative and they're asking
the
you
questions that they ask.
Exactly. That
might
kind of
even
opens your
force
mind.
you to like go and do research.
100%. So also they keep you young as well. They keep you in the know. It's important, especially in the field that we work in. You don't want to be going into a school or going into a youth club to deliver training and you sound like some old person. It's like, nah, man.
Yeah.
So you need to be around some of the young dudes, man.
Okay, cool. You mentioned about training.
Yes.
You do training.
Yes.
What kind of training services do you offer?
Cool. So they range actually. So 2 to 3 degrees. We offer training around obviously those personal development themes that I talked about. So we do anything from 1 hour to full-day workshops through to programs that are maybe like 6 to 12 weeks long. And they might be around self-esteem and confidence, or they might be around kind of mastering communication and becoming a better public speaker. But we deliver training in that sense. And then I guess the Carl Kanadu brand delivers the training around public speaking, one-on-one training, but also more specifically I work with like young athletes, young entrepreneurs, and so we go in and deliver training with them as well.
Okay. What would you say, I know you mentioned about 5 pillars of success. What would you say are like 3 keys to success?
3 keys.
Yeah.
There's so many. No, that's a good
Let's just give it some 3.
Yeah,
so 1.
Yeah, cool. 1 is definitely habits and routine.
Okay.
I think it's huge. Just because, like I said, we all get 24 hours, and it's the way you use that 24 hours that is going to determine what you do with your day. And I think habits and routine are so key because I did a video about this the other day. You know, have you ever noticed how we can all 3 of us, we can watch a sermon and what I take from the sermon, exactly. But exactly, we can all take something different because what is going on inside of us is very different, and so the way you perceive that information is going to be different based on your attitude, based on your beliefs, etc. And that's built up of your That's built up off of your habits and your routine. Yeah. So I think that's definitely 1 key. 1 key I think is definitely your relationship with God. He's our manufacturer. I hear Miles Monroe saying it all the time. And I always used to think like, it's an annoying word, but it's true. If I make something, I'm the person who's going to tell you how to use it. If God has made you, and you believe that God has made you, He is the person that you should go to for direction on how to live your life. So yeah, I think that relationship and kind of just having a yearning to really build a relationship with the Holy Spirit so that He can guide your steps.
Yeah, and get to know Him more.
Exactly. And knowing the Word, because knowing the Word is then knowing the language that God speaks. And there'll be things that arise in your life that you will only be able to kind of get the wisdom that you need through the Holy Spirit. And I think the other thing that's key to this, and someone said this to me before, the beautiful thing about having God on your side is even if you take the wrong turn, you make the wrong decision, there's grace. And so a lot of times, somebody who has a heart for God, if they make the wrong decision, when they turn left and when they were supposed to turn right, God can still turn that around for you. Do you know what I mean? That's the beauty of it. And so, yeah, you're never by yourself. He's always holding your hand through that process. Yeah. And so habits and routine, God is definitely 1. And I guess the final principle I'll talk about is network and the people that you're around. I'm always banging on about how, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. I say that at all of my talks. And the reason why I keep repeating that is because it's not a theory, it's literal. Like, you are literally the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. People like to look at it as theoretical, but when people come to me with problems, a lot of the time, the problem that they're asking me about or they're suffering matches up with the people that they're around. If you elevate your circle, your problems elevate. It doesn't mean that you're important, is because whenever you go into a school and you find a young person that says, I want to be great at science, I want to be great at maths, but they don't surround themselves with anyone who actually cares about their education, it doesn't work. Like, life doesn't actually work like that. When I was playing football, if I wanted to be a better footballer, I had to play football with better footballers. That's how you train, that's how you get better. The same concept exists for life. I can't be an entrepreneur and not know any entrepreneurs. It doesn't make sense. Who am I going to learn from? Like, who's going to give me advice when things are going wrong? And so, yeah, your network is key, man. And I know it might, for some people, when they're listening to something like that, they might say, oh, that's easy to say because you've got those people around you. I'm not necessarily saying it's easy to say, but we live in an information age where you don't even necessarily have to physically be around these people. Yeah. You've got so many people online that you can learn from.
And like read books.
Exactly.
And stuff like that.
Online courses, Audible, all of these things. And so your network is key, man. So habits, God, network. Definitely.
Cool.
Definitely.
And I think we probably should have asked before, but what is your definition of success then? My
definition of success. I've got a specific definition. What I like to call the personal development definition that a guy called Earl Nightingale came up with. When he basically said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It sounds a bit wordy, but it's actually really simple. Think back. Success is the progressive, so it's something that's ongoing. Realization, so that's when you actually realize something. The progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It has to be something that's important to you. So your success and my success might be different. That's why people always say that success is relative. And so I really like that definition as well, because it then puts it into perspective that success is not something that is actually external. It's actually something that's internal to you. You set the goal, it has to be worthy to you, but it's a realization. So it's actually more to do with the process than it is the final destination. I'll never forget the day where I finally opened up my results for my university degree. I found out I got a first class degree. I was so gassed, so happy. Went downstairs shouting, gave mum a high five. Mum was dancing in the room, happy, happy, happy. 20 minutes later, came up to my room, sat on my bed. And I was like, okay, what now? So, what's next? You get me? It was nice to actually get the result, but the success was in the journey. That 4 years of working towards that degree, that was what the success was. And that's where you actually learn and build the principles and build the habits to become a successful person, not the day that you got that email, you know?
I think it's important to know as well that success is not like a point that you arrive to. I mean, people always think that it's like a far goal that you're, when once you get there, that's it.
That's it, you're done. No, not at all.
So the progressive part of that.
Super, super key.
So what would you say to a young person who has, well, not yet discovered themselves and kind of need that push, on where to go next?
For me, one of the things that I always say is, there's nothing wrong if you don't know your purpose. There's nothing wrong if you don't know your calling yet. That's not a problem at all. There's only something wrong if you don't know your purpose, you don't know your calling, and all you're doing is this. You're just sitting there, I don't know my purpose, I don't know my calling. What am I supposed to do in my life? That is the problem there is always to do with what you're doing about it. And so my first thing is to be curious. Be curious and go out there and do things. Because if you go out there and you do something and you figure out, you know what, I actually don't like it, you can tick that off the list. But if you're sitting there waiting for it, you can't tick anything off the list and you don't learn anything. And 9 times out of 10, when you do something that you maybe necessarily don't like or it wasn't quite the right thing, you learn something about yourself and about that thing that you can transfer into something else. So I think my first key is definitely to do with go and do something. Don't just sit there and wait. Actually get out there and do something. Go do an internship. Go speak to a mentor. Go volunteer at the local youth club. Go try and learn a new skill. We live in a day and age where your phone, like you said, the editing skills that you've got now, how did you learn them?
Just did YouTube,
There we go, literally. And that's the same for me. I didn't know how to edit before. I didn't know how to build a website before. YouTube, a couple tutorials.
Ask people as well.
Ask people, and you can learn a new skill. So we live in a day and age where you've got so much information available to you. The issue that we're dealing with is not the information, and not even access to information. The issue we're dealing with is you. Exactly. The willingness and the desire to get up there and learn. So that's the first thing. You've got to deal with you. You've got to invest in you and get out there and go and learn something. I guess the other thing that I'd say is to really start building and learning about personal development. I'm always going to be flying the personal development. That's my thing for me, because no one who achieves success, whether they know it or not, achieves it without a certain level of desire for personal growth and learning. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying everybody has to be not everyone has to be a motivational speaker. Not everyone has to be super well versed on personal development. But learning about how you operate and why you make the decisions that you make is a real easy way to make sure that you are functioning properly, you know?
And I think as well, just like wanting to grow.
Yes,
Like move from the level that you're at, like challenge yourself.
Exactly.
Not be comfortable like you said earlier.
Exactly. And that, like you're saying, comes from a bunch of different things. That comes from your habits and routines. That comes from your network. That comes from your desire to learn and grow. And so those two things I think are going to be really key for any young person in any position. It has to come from you first. And I think that's the beautiful thing about, you know, hitting 16 and getting from between like 16 and 21 or 22. That's the place where people stop making decisions for you. So your mum doesn't have to tell you to go to school anymore. It's your decision. Like they might
to study.
Do you get me? Yeah. Depending, obviously, if I'm from an African household, they're probably still telling you what to do. But either way, and the reality of it is, unless they're gonna pick you up and drag you there every day, you don't have to go. So now is the time for you to take control of your life and start making decisions that you actually care about, rather than just being a zombie and just existing or going with the flow. I love the quote that says, "Only dead fish go with the flow." Only dead. You're not a dead fish. Stop going with the flow. Get up and go in the direction that you want to go. Do you know what I mean? So for me, that's key.
So just to like wrap up, is there anything else that you'd want to say to someone that's watching?
Yeah, there's millions of things, man. There's millions of things. Okay, cool. Before I say what I would say from like a inspirational perspective, let me just do a really shameless plug. Two shameless plugs. One is I'm working on a book, so I've actually finished writing it, but it's called First Class, and it's essentially how the principles for getting a first class degree can make you first class in life beyond your degree. And so I break down some of the principles that are going to help you get a first class degree, but I break down how those things are actually going to help you become first class in your career or in your family life or in wherever you're going into. So watch out for that book coming out in September. Watch out for that book coming out in September. That's the first one. The second one is Goals to Greatness, which I want to see you at soon. But it's basically an event series that I've been doing. The first one was on goal setting. The second one was on going from idea to reality. And the next one's going to be on public speaking. So many times I've gone to events, amazing events, great food, great networking. You sit down, someone comes on stage and just sucks all of the life out of you. I can't deal with it. I can't do it. No, I think people have to understand, when you step up on a stage, whether there's 2 people in the room or 500 people in the room, you have a responsibility, especially in a personal development setting, but anywhere, even a teacher, you have a responsibility to give something to that audience. That's why they're sitting there. So many times people let the nerves and the lack of preparation become the focus for what they're about to say, and therefore people sitting down don't get anything out of it. We've got a responsibility. If you're going to be sharing with people, if you're going to be inspiring people, if you're going to be teaching people, you need to do it from a perspective where they can get the most out of it. So in Goals to Greatness, July the 13th, public speaking, the main aim is to really get people to communicate from a place of heart and talk to people's emotions, not just communicate from a place of head. Anyone can say equations, that's great, but what are you actually telling me? How is what you're saying going to shift me from point A to point B? So yeah, I really want any speakers, any trainers, anyone out there that is looking for that, I definitely want to see them.
So is it a workshop?
Yes, so it's like a motivational workshop.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I think that's the best way of terming it.
Okay, cool.
So, my friends, if you're listening to this and you're not quite sure what your purpose is, you're not quite sure what you're going to do after uni or whether you should go to uni, there is a destiny and a calling on your life. Your only job is to find it. Don't sit down and complain about it. Go out there, be curious, be creative, be active, and go and find it, because there's something that you're supposed to do whilst you're here. Thank you for listening.
Now the dollar they buy, and I don't do yes. And many people don't tell me no. Only lati lowo di dandan. Torí ìyá mi ò bí mọ̀ ọ̀dọ̀ yọ. Is it because I dey do am for love? If I get the cash, I go tell you love, I go give you cash, I go be your sponsor.